Okay, back again on the Rich Van Tassel channel, giving you the breakdown of yesterday's games of Week 6 of the NFL season. Starting first with the Washington Redskins and the New York Jets. The Jets won the game 34 to 20. Going to give you the stats for the Redskins who lost. Kirk Cousins was 25 of 43, 196 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. Running the ball, overall, the team was not good at all. 17 of 34. That's for the entire team. It's only 2.2 yards per carry, and Alfred Morris was 11 carries for 21 yards. The receiving, Jamison Crowder was 4 for 40, Derek Carrier 4 for 39, Pierre Garcon 5 for 28. So obviously, as you would expect, the Redskins had trouble throwing against that prolific Jets secondary. They lost two fumbles to go along with that. The two interceptions by Kirk Cousins is not good enough. They did not have any sacks and only one interception for the game. For the Jets, Ryan Fitzpatrick, very effective, 19 for 26, 253 yards, two touchdowns, one interception. He also ran for a touchdown. Chris Ivory was a monster yesterday, 20 carries, 146 yards, that's 7.3 yards per carry and a touchdown. Zach Stacy was 13 for 46. Ryan Fitzpatrick had the touchdown and 4 carries for 31 yards altogether. So he was very good. Altogether, 41 carries for 221 yards, which is 5.4 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. So the Jets were really hammering Rock in the running game, and just a very good offensive game all around for the Jets. Brandon Marshall, 7 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown. Eric Decker, 4 for 59 and a touchdown. They did lose 2 fumbles. I'm sorry, that's right. Washington did not lose 2 fumbles. They recovered both the Jets fumbles. Both were by receivers Marshall and Eric Decker. The Jets only had 1 sack, and it was a half sack for 2 guys. Revis and Marcus Gilchrist both had interceptions, so very good in that regard. Ryan Fitzpatrick is making me look worse and worse by the week. I didn't think he'd be playing this effective. He is. So the Jets will look to continue to ride him all the way. They go into New England next week. Again, the inconsistent Washington Redskins, where they go from here. They want to start getting consistent. They might have a shot, but that remains to be seen. Consistency only comes when you start playing consistently. It's pretty simple there. So Jets obviously have that game against the Patriots. They're going to look to move on, and I don't expect Geno Smith to get much playing time this year, barring an injury from Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Arizona Cardinals at home, 25 to 13, a game I missed on. Landry Jones came in for Michael Vick and likely saved the day because Michael Vick was not playing well. We'll give you the Steelers first, even though they're at home. I usually give you the road first, but we brought up Mike Vick was 3 for 8 for 6 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and he was sacked once. So that's just not good enough. Landry Jones came in was 8 for 12, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell was effective, 24 of 88, just under 4 yards per carry running the ball. Mike Vick 5 for 47. Altogether 32 for 141 running the ball, which is 4.4 yards per carry. They needed that because they weren't throwing the ball too well. Even though Martavius Bryant did have 6 receptions for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns, Antonio Brown was held in check, 3 for 24. Mike Mitchell recovered a fumble for the defense. Pittsburgh only had 1 sack, but 2 interceptions of Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer was 29 of 45, 421 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So you're surprised he throws the ball for over 400 yards and they only score 13 points. I mean, even with 2 interceptions, you're expecting a bit more than that. Chris Johnson, 14 of 40, was held in check. That's under 3 yards per carry. Overall, 20 for 55 for Arizona rushing the ball. Not good enough. John Brown had a big day through the air, 10 receptions, 196 yards. Larry Fitzgerald, 8 for 93. Michael Floyd, 5 for 50 and a touchdown. So, those 421 yards for Carson Palmer had to come somewhere. Arizona lost a fumble, so they had 3 turnovers and only 1 sack. So, Pittsburgh, you got to give them credit. They're playing well without Ben Roethlisberger. It didn't look good for them. I didn't think they'd have any chance considering how bad Vick was playing the whole game. But once he went out, Landry Jones came in. They may have found something there. So we'll see if Michael Vick is even with the team anymore because Ben Roethlisberger is going to be back soon enough. And if Landry Jones can prove he's the better of the backups, and there's really no reason to keep Michael Vick anymore. Landry Jones has been in that offense, so he knows what's going on. And, that's really not going to serve Michael Vick very well for his future in Pittsburgh. So we'll see what happens and what develops there out in Pittsburgh for the week. Arizona drops to 4-2 and aren't really running away with a pretty bad division. A lot of teams not looking to catch them. A lot of poor teams and inconsistent play out west. So Arizona might rue the day they didn't take advantage of a bad Pittsburgh offensive day. Kansas City went to Minnesota and lost. It was 16-10 Minnesota. Box score for Kansas City: Alex Smith was 22 of 37, 282 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception. Charcandrick West, who replaced Jamal Charles in the running game, was 9 carries for 33 yards. Overall, 18 for 57 for the Chiefs. You'd expect a drop off without Jamal Charles, so a bad season's gonna get a lot worse for the Chiefs. You would have to expect. Travis Kelce again shows he's Alex Smith's favorite target. He had 5 receptions for 88 yards. Albert Wilson 3 for 57. Jeremy Maclin only 3 for 48. Charcandrick West did lose a fumble. Only 2 sacks. They did have 2 interceptions. Marcus Peters did have an interception, so he continues to be in consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. For the Vikings, as I would have expected, Teddy Bridgewater did throw the ball 31 times, only completed 17 of them. So I don't know if they were trying to open up and that's why he got so many incompletions, or he just wasn't playing well. But 17 of 31, 249, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Adrian Peterson 26 of 60, so that's only 2.3 yards per carry. Obviously Kansas City was making a concerted effort to stop him. Matt Asiata 5 for 27, overall 35 for 84, which is only 2.4 yards per carry. Stephon Diggs had 7 receptions for 129 yards, but no touchdowns. And Jarius Wright 2 for 69. Mike Wallace 2 for 23. They didn't lose a fumble, though. Adrian Peterson did put it on the ground once. They had 2 sacks, no interceptions, though. So Minnesota won a game they had to win. We discussed it. I thought it'd be a closer game. It was relatively close. They didn't score as many points on both sides as I would have expected. Teddy Bridgewater did not play well, and it looks like they tried to open it up for him, as we just discussed. And Adrian Peterson didn't play well, so that's a big win for Minnesota if they want to stay within any sort of shouting distance of Green Bay, who really looks to be running away with that division. And as for the Chiefs, 1-5, so it's just not their year this year. It happens sometimes. The Bengals beat the Buffalo Bills 34-21. I don't know if I've gotten one game right that I've picked the Bengals in this year, but they moved to 6-0. The Bills dropped to 3-3, so Cincinnati continues to play well. Tyrod Taylor did not play in this game though, so we discussed if he wasn't playing that would affect whether or not they win. So I'd pick the Buffalo Bills to win, but I expected Tyrod Taylor to play. Box score: Andy Dalton 22 of 33, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, very good. Running the ball: Jeremy Hill 16 for 56, Giovanni Bernard 8 for 50, overall 28 for 112. It's 4 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. Marvin Jones 9 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. AJ Green was obviously held in check by Stephon Gilmore. He was 4 for 36. Andy Dalton fumbled but did not lose it. That defensive line only had 2 sacks, so the Buffalo Bills offensive line, which is nothing spectacular, played well. And Darqueze Dennard had an interception. For the Buffalo Bills, EJ Manuel, who got the start in place of Tyrod Taylor, 28 of 42, 263, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, really not bad. LaShawn McCoy 17 for 90, that's 5.3 yards per carry and a touchdown. And EJ Manuel rushed the ball 6 times for 22 yards. He also had a touchdown. Overall, that was 23 for 112, just shy of 5 yards per carry. Charles Clay was the top receiver, 9 receptions, 62 yards. Chris Gregg 5 for 54. Sammy Watkins didn't have that good of a game, 4 for 48, 1 touchdown. They did not fumble. They did not have any sacks nor interceptions, and that's probably where the difference was made in this game. Cincinnati, hey, they're rolling right now. They're obviously Andy Dalton's playing very well. You'd have to consider him in the MVP discussion. Buffalo now 3-3. They're basically just treading water, bouncing around there week to week. The division really could get away from them pretty soon, so they'd have to start stringing some wins together here in the near future. Hopefully, with Tyrod Taylor coming back and healthy, they can do so. That'll be what makes a difference for them. But they're looking up at both the Jets and the New England Patriots and Miami won. So it's now or never time for Buffalo if they want to turn this season into something. All right, the Detroit Lions did get their first win of the season against the Chicago Bears yesterday. Side note on this game, I thought the officiating was terrible. I only really saw the final couple minutes of the quarter, Detroit's last drive, and then Chicago going back down the field to tie before it went to overtime. Just penalty after penalty after penalty. Stupid rules again. We've discussed this. I saw Matt Stafford throw the ball out of the back of the end zone, and they still. It might not have gone out of the back of the end zone, but it did go out of the end zone, and they still called an intentional grounding. It's just terrible. The officiating has to be addressed in the NFL. But we'll just get back to giving you the game. Jay Cutler, 26 of 41, 353 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Matt Forte, 24 of 69 for a touchdown. Overall, 31 for 91, 2 touchdowns. That's not even 3 yards per carry. Alshon Jeffrey had a big game, 8 receptions, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Martellus Bennett, 6 for 59, no touchdowns. Chicago did recover 2 fumbles, did only have 2 sacks, and Jonathan Anderson had an interception. For Detroit, Matthew Stafford, 27 of 42, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, so he limited his turnovers, which is important. Running the ball, Amir Abdullah, 14 for 48. Matt Stafford actually ran the ball 6 times for 37 yards. Altogether, they were 32 of 155 for 4.8 yards per carry. That's very good. The offense was really clicking. Calvin Johnson, 6 for 166, big day and a touchdown. Lance Moore, 5 for 106 and a touchdown. Theo Riddick out of the backfield, 3 for 50, and Golden Tate, 6 for 40. He had a touchdown. There was another call. Golden Tate caught the ball in the end zone, lost it, and then it was intercepted, but they still ruled a touchdown. And yet the Dez Bryant catch was somehow not a catch. Again, it's just poor officiating. The officiating is terrible. I saw Chris Collinsworth make a statement on the Sunday night game that fans are going to get turned off with all the Deflategate talk. No, I'm going to get turned off much faster if this officiating and rules don't start being equally enforced, and it's just got to be better. That'll turn me off before anything else. The fumbles, Detroit lost 2. They did not. Oh, they had 1 sack, but it was a split sack between 2 guys, and Rasheem Mathis had an interception. So Detroit gets their first win. Chicago drops to 2 and 4. Neither one of these teams have much hope with the way the Packers are playing. They're running away with that division. So they'll just have to move on. In Detroit, they'll see if they can start establishing themselves. They definitely could play spoiler. This was a playoff team last year, and I thought they had some hard-luck losses. So they could definitely be a factor. They're just not going to be a factor in their own playoff destiny this year. Denver did beat Cleveland. We thought the Browns might shock Denver, but they could not get it done in overtime. It was 26-23 in overtime. Denver now 6-0. Cleveland drops to 2 and 4. Denver just still continues to win. Probably Peyton Manning's best game of the year, and it wasn't even that great, so that tells you how poorly he has been playing. 26 of 48, 290 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Ronnie Hillman, 20 of 111. C.J. Anderson, 13 of 41. That's running the ball. Overall, 33 of 152 for 4.6 yards per carry. Demarius Thomas, 10 for 111 for the receiving game. Emmanuel Sanders, 4 for 109 and a touchdown. No fumbles were lost. They did recover a fumble. I did have 4 sacks, so that was big. Aqib Talib had an interception return for a touchdown, and David Burton Jr. had an interception. For the Browns, Josh McCown, 20 of 39, 213, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Really not a good game at all. Duke Johnson Jr., 9 carries for 38 yards. Isaiah Crowell, 11 for 32. Robert Turbin, 10 for 27. Overall, 33 for 109. That's 3.3 yards per carry. So they stuck to the running game. It just wasn't very effective. Travis Benjamin continues to impress. 9 receptions, 117 yards. Gary Barnidge, 3 for 39 and 2 touchdowns. Josh McCown did lose a fumble as well, so he turned the ball over 3 times himself. They did not have a sack, not surprising with Peyton Manning. He gets rid of the ball very quick and gets the offensive line to block exactly who he wants them to. And Carlos Dansby had 2 interceptions. So Denver, hey, they keep winning. I don't think this team's going to win a Super Bowl with the way they're playing. Though their defense has been spectacular, the Browns, again, can't find a way to win games that would really put them over the hump. And that's why it's going to be another subpar year for the Cleveland Browns this season. The Texans, of course, finally find out time to show up when I pick them to lose. They beat the Jaguars 31-20 on the road. Ryan Hoyer got the start, was 24 of 36, 293 yards, 3 touchdowns. Arian Foster, 18 carries, 53 yards. Chris Polk, 8 for 37, overall 31 for 95, which is 3.1 yards per carry. DeAndre Hopkins continues to play very well this season. He's been a bright spot for Houston. He had 10 receptions, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Cecil Shorts III, and that's a tongue twister, ain't it? 4 receptions for 63 yards, and Arian Foster 5 for 59 out of the backfield and a touchdown. Arian Foster fumbled but did not lose it. 3 sacks, so the defense is starting to come along. Whitney Merciless had 2 of them. John Simon had the others, so we were expecting more pressure on the quarterback this year, and it happened yesterday. They did have 3 interceptions. For the Jaguars, Blake Bortles, 30 of 53, 331 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I'm a little surprised they're letting a young quarterback throw the ball that much. Blake Bortles was their top rusher. That's not going to get the job done. 4 for 37. Toby Gerhart, 9 for 26. Overall, 21 for 83. Brian Walters, 8 for 87. Allen Robinson, 6 for 86 receiving the ball. Julius Thomas, 7 for 78. You see those numbers are inflated because obviously Houston made a concerted effort to stop Allen Hurns. He only had 2 receptions for 30 yards but did have a touchdown. Blake Bortles fumbled but did not lose it, and that's good. He would have had 4 turnovers instead of 3. Only 1 sack and no interception. So that, especially with the Indianapolis loss, Houston is certainly not eliminated in that division. Neither is Jacksonville at this point, but that's pretty sad. That's still, again, such a poor division, but Houston's going to look to get moving, and Jacksonville has got to start to show the improvement I was expecting. I wasn't expecting a playoff team or anything of that nature. I just expect a more professional run team with a few more wins this year, but not happening. The Dolphins came out and slapped around the Tennessee Titans as we expected. Obviously coming out angry out of the bye week and the firing of Joe Philbin. Ryan Tannehill, 22 of 29, 266, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Lamar Miller, 19 carries, 113 yards and a touchdown. Jarvis Landry, 2 for 24 and a touchdown. Overall, 32 for 180, which is 5.6 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. Rashard Matthews was the top receiver, 6 receptions for 85 yards. Miami recovered 2 fumbles. One of them was on the offensive side of the ball, though. Did have 6 sacks, so Marcus Mariota is starting to really get beat up this year, and 2 interceptions. Mariota was 21 of 33, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Looks like he got the pull in this game, and they put Zach Mattenberger in, 5 for 8, 63 yards. Dexter McCluster, 5 for 23. Antonio Andrews, 9 for 30 running the ball. Overall, 18 for 63. You would hope for more than that with Marcus Mariota. That's his style of play. 1 and 2, you want to protect the young quarterback. Delaney Walker was the top receiver, the tight end, 8 receptions for 97 yards. Mariota did lose 2 fumbles along with the 2 interceptions, so it was just a bad day for him. Tennessee only had 2 sacks. Did have 2 interceptions, though. So Miami, wouldn't surprise me if they start playing much better. Obviously, firing the coach lights a fire under team. Wild card, maybe. I don't really think they're going to catch the Patriots. And it's just they play in a tough division, so you got to wonder where exactly how far they're going to go. Tennessee has now lost every game since winning their opener, so they got a lot of work to do. And you can't let Marcus Mariota keep getting pounded and keep letting them turn the ball over. Carolina went to Seattle and got the win. The Seahawks now dropped to 2 and 4, and the Panthers are now the Panthers are now 5 and 0. Cam Newton, 20 of 36, 269 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Jonathan Stewart, 20 for 78. Cam Newton, 7 for 30 running the ball. Overall, 33 for 135. That's 4.1 yards per carry and 3 touchdowns. 2 of them for Stewart, 1 of them for Cam Newton. Greg Olsen is going to be the top receiver almost every game with the injury to Kelvin Benjamin. 7 receptions for 131 yards and a touchdown. No fumbles. They had 4 sacks. No interceptions. For Seattle, Russell Wilson, 18 of 30, 241 yards and a touchdown. Marshawn Lynch came back and played, 17 for 54 and a touchdown. Russell Wilson, 8 for 53. So that helped the rushing numbers, which were 26 of 115 overall, 4.4 yards per carry, and the one touchdown. Jimmy Graham had a good game, 8 for 140, but he was the only receiver of note, really only receiving threat. They didn't fumble the ball, had 3 sacks and 2 interceptions, but again, Carolina is finding ways to win games, and Seattle is not. Seattle now 2-4. The Arizona loss keeps them competitive. They still have a shot, but they've really got to start getting it together and quickly. We talked about it in the season preview. Complacency might become an issue, and it looks like that might be the case. Carolina, very impressive. Quietly now 5-0. There was a problem there. It looks like Seattle fans were pulling off a little Bush League tactic, pulling a fire alarm early in the morning. So Carolina decided to settle that and just came out and won the game. So hats off to the Carolina Panthers yesterday. It was a tough flight across country, playing in one of the tougher places to play, and then had that issue in the morning with the fire alarm, and they won the game anyway. So you really got to give it to them. San Diego played well but lost 20-27 to the Green Bay Packers. Philip Rivers threw the ball a lot. As my late uncle would say, he was dipping his arm in ice after that game. 43 of 65, 503 yards and 2 touchdowns. Melvin Gordon 7 of 29, he got hurt. Brandon Oliver 7 for 23. Danny Woodhead 7 for 8. Overall 21 for 60, 2.9 yards per carry. Obviously, that's why Philip Rivers was throwing the ball so much. They weren't running well. Keenan Allen monster game, 14 of 157. Malcolm Floyd 5 for 95. Antonio Gates 9 for 95. Danny Woodhead 5 for 63. The touchdowns were Ladarius Green, he had the touchdown, and Dontrell Inman. Overall, only 6 catches and 53 yards between those two, however. Melvin Gordon fumbled twice and lost one of them. 3 sacks, no interceptions. For the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, pedestrian, 16 of 29, 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Starks ran very well, 10 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. Jeff Janis was the top receiver, 2 for 79. Randall Cobb 2 for 38. Richard Rodgers 2 for 34. James Jones 2 for 30. He had one of the touchdowns. The other was James Starks out of the backfield, so a very good game for James Starks. Eddie Lacy fumbled but did not lose it. Clay Matthews recovered a fumble. 3 sacks and no interceptions. San Diego, hey, they were sharp. I was watching this game yesterday. They came out ready to play. Just, I thought, made a little too many mistakes, especially on that last drive. I think the play calling left a lot to be desired, especially they had 1st and goal from about the 3 and can't punch it in. So you got to question the offensive play calling at that point. But they'll have to move on. They don't have much choice. Green Bay now 6-0. They are rolling. They're going to look tough to beat. A lot of talk today about, is New England going to go undefeated? What about the Green Bay Packers? Now, side note, I don't think either one of them is going to go undefeated, but you got to give the Packers credit. Baltimore really having a tough year. They lost to San Francisco. It was 25-20 49ers. The 49ers, hey, in that division, they're only 2 games out and still got a lot of division games left, so not quite out of it just yet. It's going to be a make or break game when they go Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks. That game means everything for both of these teams. To the box score, Joe Flacco again throwing the ball a ton, 33 of 53, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Justin Forsett, 17 carries for 62 yards. Steve Smith Sr. had a big day, 7 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. And just a lot of receptions altogether. Justin Forsett had 7 for 39 out of the backfield. 10 receivers caught a pass, so they're throwing the ball a lot in Baltimore this season, and it's really getting them beat. Only 3 sacks, no interceptions for the Ravens. Colin Kaepernick, effective 16-27, 340 yards. 340 yards. That's a lot of yards on 16 completions, 2 touchdowns, no interception. Carlos Hyde, 21 for 55. Colin Kaepernick, 3 for 10. Overall, 25 of 65, which is only 2.6 yards per carry. Not very good running the ball. Anquan Boldin, 5 for 102. Torrey Smith, explosive, 3 for 96. 32 yards per catch and 1 touchdown. Bruce Miller, 3 for 89, which is 29.7 yards per catch. So you look at that, that's where you're getting all those yards on 16 completions. San Francisco fumbled once. They did not lose it. They did not have a sack, but did have 2 interceptions. So Baltimore really in trouble now. Obviously not going to win that division. It'd be a miracle if they did. whether they make the playoffs or not, that's highly unlikely as well. They could certainly play spoiler because there's a lot of talent and a lot of veteran presence on that team, but it's like a lost year for the Ravens. San Francisco just got to keep hanging in there. The division, no one is running away with it just yet, and Arizona let a lot of teams back in it by losing yesterday. And then finally, the New England Patriots, 34-27. I was about 4 points off of taking that score, just as is. A lot of question about that fake punt. I don't know what was going on with that play. I don't think the Colts knew either, so just leave it at that. It was just a terrible play call. For the Patriots, Tom Brady, 23 of 37, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. LeGarrette Blount, 16 of 93, 5.8 yards per carry. Dion Lewis, 4 for 21. Altogether, 25 of 116, 4.6 yards per carry. That included Tom Brady 4 carries, so he was taking the kneel on a couple of those. So pretty good day running the ball. Danny Amendola, very good day through the air receiving, 7 for 105. No fumbles. They did have 3 sacks, no interceptions. Indianapolis, Andrew Luck kept his turnovers down. He didn't have an interception. It was 30 of 50 for 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. Frank Gore, 13 of 78, 6 yards per carry. Altogether, 22 of 120, so they ran the ball effectively. T.Y. Hilton, 6 for 74 and a touchdown. Dante Moncrief, 6 for 69 and a touchdown receiving. No fumbles, so Indianapolis stopped turning the ball over, so they lost the game and dropped to 3-3, but they may be able to find something in that regard. 2 sacks, and they had 1 interception. So New England continues to shine. I don't think they're going to go undefeated, but they're certainly being a very tough team to beat this year. Indianapolis, off of 3 straight wins, lost the game. They play in that weak division, so I wouldn't worry too much about Indianapolis, just as I wasn't worried when they got off to the 0-2 start. But they'll have to move forward from here, and things will be more effective now that they stop turning the ball over. Hopefully they can carry that in from week to week. And the Patriots, of course, playing the Jets in a big game. Alright, so that's it for the breakdown of this weekend's game. We'll be posting a video later today for the breakdown of tonight's game against the Giants and the Eagles for Monday Night Football, and also give you a quick baseball update here. Both series are 2 apiece. The home team won both games. The home team won both of their games at home. Excuse me, doing a lot there. The Mets are up 2-0. They are off today as they travel to Chicago, and then we pick back up the series tonight between the Blue Jays and the Royals in Toronto, with the Royals leading 2-0. So stay tuned for that. Watch that tonight, and stay tuned for the video later of the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. Give you a breakdown of that game. Thank you so much.